Hello, dear friends of the internet. Welcome to Teen Entertainment Network, or 10 as we like to call it. I'm Tyler Nicole, and today Josh and I are having a chat with Shayne Leighton. I don't know, I can honestly say that Shayne is one of the most talented people I've ever met. She is amazing. From writing to music to acting, she's done it all, and I'm sure she won't stop there. Most recently, Shayne has released a single called Invincible, which I can say from experience is one of the most fun songs to rock out to, so kudos on that because it's like so good. Um, Acting is another one of Shayne's many accomplishments. You may recognize her from The Incubus or Legend of the Red Reaper, but this natural redhead has so much more to offer. She is also an incredible best-selling writer of romantic vampire novels, so all of you Twihards, True Blood, and TVD fans should definitely check out Of Light and Darkness. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today, Shayne. We're so excited.
I am so excited too, and it's so much fun to be here with you guys. That was quite an introduction, so thank you so much for that.
No worries. It was like so easy to write for you. It's like she's done this, and this.
Well, you made me blush. You made my day. That was really awesome.
So, for those who don't know you and might be like hanging out, watching with us, describe yourself in 3 words.
3 words. Rocker, writer, redhead. That was easy.
That was awesome.
Okay.
I love how they all started with an R.
It's that alliteration, you know. It's the writer in me, I think. Rocker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, writer
Yeah,
doesn't, but that's cool.
So you are so multi-talented. Do you have a favorite creative path, or are they all just passions of yours?
A favorite? Oh, that's hard. I get asked this question a lot because of everything that I've dabbled in. I don't actually think I have a favorite. I think that every day it changes. It's kind of like my taste in fashion changes every day. Like one day I feel like the clean-cut, kind of more preppy girl. The other day I feel like a rocker. The other day I feel like I want to dress like my character in the novel. So it's kind of like this, you know, it changes every day. And I kind of feel unbalanced when I'm working really hard on something and it's going well, and then another facet of my career is kind of being ignored. You know what I mean? It's weird, but it's like I have to kind of have each like part of the oven simmering at the same time. So at least somehow. So that's kind of how I feel. I don't really have a favorite exactly.
Yeah. No, I totally get that. Like if you have a passion for something, you have a passion for it, but you can have more than one.
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of times people tell me, you know, it's like you have to pick one because, you know, you have to focus all of your energy on that one thing to be successful. And I don't really necessarily think that's true. I think what you said was right. If you have a passion for many things, you can go after those things.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. So we know that your vampire novels are like romantic, like the mortal, what's it called? Mortal Enemy? No, that's not what it's called. Mortal Instruments.
Right.
Like Mortal Instruments, Twilight kind of novels. But how did you come up with the idea for yours? Like, what makes it different?
Well, I think that it's definitely different. I always tell people when I'm at book conventions that if they're looking for like another Twilight kind of novel, it's not really like that. It's, I guess, listed in a new adult genre because it does tend to cross over. It's more mature. It's a little bit more adult. It's got some adult themes in it. It's not erotic or anything like that, but it's just, you know, it's definitely for a more mature crowd.
Sure.
And I'd actually say that because there are so many different kinds of characters, it's not just vampires. Like, I kind of have a really wild, weird imagination. So, I mean, there's like elves and witches and those kinds of things. It's not like a high fantasy like Lord of the Rings or anything. It's not like that either. But I also have like this giant spider man. He's got like the body of a spider and like the face of an elderly man with like a big knob mustache and like steampunk aviator goggles. So it's just like this. It's kind of in its own caliber, like in its own, it sits on its own shelf. So I would kind of compare it more to maybe like Anne Rice's the Vampire Chronicles because of its adult themes and because it's kind of sexy and mature, and also I would compare it to like the Harry Potter series because there's a lot going on. It's heavy world building, but it takes place in modern times, and it takes place in reality. It's like a secret and magical world living in reality that human beings don't know about. Because I kind of like it when my fantasies are somewhat believable. Like you want to believe that maybe that could exist somewhere in the world. So I tried to keep my rules very concrete, and it's not realistic, but I tried to keep it as realistic as humanly possible because I think that's fun. And then I like to also compare it to like strange things like Studio Ghibli films like Spirited Away and Howl's Moving Castle, because I'm huge fans of Miyazaki, of course, and also the film Pan's Labyrinth by Guillermo del Toro. It's stunning. It's an independent Spanish film. If you haven't seen it and you don't like subtitles, I think you should see it anyway. Screw the subtitles. Watch this movie because it is so visionary and cinematic, and it's absolutely stunning, and I think that I really tried to go after that with my writing, so that's kind of what it is. It's eclectic, it's a little bit of everything, but it's not Twilight, in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good distinction.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love books that are based off of reality. I think they're so cool. I think those are the most fun to read, actually.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is one of my favorite films because I love that they can just like go into a whole new world and it's just like in their closet. Like, I don't know, that's cool. But
You
whatever.
want to believe you could go to Narnia, right? You want to believe that you could get your letter from Hogwarts tomorrow. Like, I want to believe that. So
Yeah.
Totally.
I love those type of books. So, what is your favorite part about writing?
Oh, that's a good question. My favorite part about writing. I think a lot of writers hate the editing phase because it's very mechanical and you see your work kind of getting butchered to pieces by your editors and your publisher and everything. But I actually really like the editing stage because I'm the kind of person that likes to work collaboratively with people and have a team and hear what other people's ideas are. So I get my thoughts down on paper. I get my ideas kind of together in the plot and where I think that I want it to go. And then personally, I work with some genius editors. I mean, my editor's name is Carrie Vale, and she's absolutely wonderful. And, you know, she'll read my rough manuscripts and she'll swoop right in and say, oh my gosh, you know, why don't you try this, or, you know, explain it more here, show me more vivid detail, and she just kind of pulls the story even more out of me than I originally anticipated, you know, could happen. And so I really think that that's a cool part because you see it become really polished and you see it all come together, and I think that that's actually a lot of fun. You know, and also coming up with the original idea is fun too, and sitting there and doing the research and listening to like movie music. I always listen to movie scores by Clint Mansell because it kind of gets the pictures in my head going, and so that part's fun too. But I think editing is definitely a really cool part because you're working actively with somebody else and they're giving you feedback on your work, what you worked so hard for.
That's awesome. So I know you said that you have a character based on yourself, but do you have any other favorite characters?
Yeah, I have a lot of favorite characters. Actually, my favorite characters, interestingly enough, are not necessarily the leads. Of course, I love the leads because it's very heavily inspired by my husband, who is from the Czech Republic. But I actually have to say that my favorite characters are the big Spider-Man with the human head because he's actually based off of my grandfather. In his personality, obviously, my grandfather doesn't have 8 legs, but you know, he's like this grandfatherly kind of character, and he carries butterscotch candies in his pocket, and he likes to make tea, and he's just really, really warm and just a really great character, and I think a lot of my readers really like him also. And his name is Mr. Trinoshka, and also he's got a little sidekick named Edwin, who is literally kind of like an animated scarecrow ragdoll. He's a boy. He's like human sized, but he's got burlap skin and button eyes. If you've ever seen the movie Coraline, he's kind of like this. Yeah. So he's just really cool, and he's got he's got a speech impediment. He stutters, and he's really insecure about it. And he is romantically interested in another one of my supporting characters. And I just think that having characters like this who are not perfect and who are not like the ass-kicking heroes all of the time, I think it's really important because I think people can identify with it because obviously nobody's perfect. And Edwin's just quirky, and Mr. Trinoshka's warm and loving, and I think that these are the reasons why they're my favorite characters.
That's awesome. That is actually really cool. I really like that you base a lot of characters off of people that you know, regardless of the fact that it's like a fantasy book, because I think it makes things more real, and like maybe for you it makes it easier to write for that character,
Absolutely, yeah, that's exactly right, and I tried to do that a lot, especially with this series, and it's very close to my heart, so I'm very overprotective of it, but that's exactly right, totally.
You kind of touched on this question a few minutes ago, but when you said you listen to music when you write, but what is your writing process like?
Cool, yeah, my writing process. A lot of writers, I've gone to a lot of like writing conventions, and a lot of them are older than me and definitely more experienced and more knowledgeable than I am, so maybe they're right when they tell me that I should do this, but a lot of writers tend to plot, and they tend to write down like a plan about how their novel's going to go from beginning to end, and basically like a skeleton. I hate this. I'm not an organized person. I'm not a clean person at all. My ideas go a mile a minute, so I just write. I literally sit down. I have an idea about a particular scene between a couple of characters, and I write, and then I flush the story out around those scenes. And sometimes it's kind of like a jigsaw puzzle, because I have to connect things that I've written, scenes that I really like, and kind of make it make sense. Again, that's where my editor comes in and fixes it all up. But but I definitely kind of write, free-spirited, whatever comes to mind, and then begin to flush it out. I do listen to music most of the time, not always. Sometimes I need like that stark silence, but most of the time I do listen to, again, movie scores, and I always have to have coffee in hand. I mean, this is a must. So,
I get you on that coffee front. I need 6 shots of my Americano every morning. So
hell yes, especially now with the pumpkin spice stuff that's out now, it's like, so I need the coffee in hand, and also I always like to light a candle, and I don't know why, but it's just, I live in Florida. I should say we live in Florida, so we don't have that rustic, we just came back from the Czech Republic after 3 months, so we had it for 3 months, but right now we don't have that kind of rustic, homey atmosphere that my books have. We don't have a fireplace or anything like this, so we don't have the leaves changing color outside either right now, which is really a big bummer for me. So I think that the candle just kind of represents that. It makes the atmosphere feel a little bit warmer, so I have to always light a candle.
Yeah. Oh, God. Sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, so switching gears, because, you do so many things, we have to, like, touch on all of them. What does it take to be successful in the music industry, do you think?
Well, I think the biggest thing about being successful in the music industry is definitely perseverance. The thing about the music industry, especially now, is it's very, very, very competitive. And even the writing industry is competitive after people have discovered self-publishing. It's kind of like, Amazon made it possible for a lot of people to start writing on their own. It's kind of the same thing that, Pro Tools did for musicians. People can afford to, fund their own music projects now, and it's a great thing because a lot of people are making art, but because of this, it's very competitive. Right. So you get a lot of rejection, there's a lot of ups and downs, a lot. But if you really love it and it's something that you're very, very passionate about, I've been trying to sing since I was 5. I wasn't really good at it when I was little. I finally found my voice when I was about 13, and I discovered like Broadway musicals. And I started.
I feel like that's the way everyone starts. They discover Broadway, and then it's like, this is it.
Exactly, for a while, and then you're like, no, this is
No, no,
not
no, no,
rock and
no.
roll. So, but you know, it is a lot of ups and downs, and if it's something that you really love, you really want to do, then you need to definitely have that perseverance, and you need to have that fire, and you need to keep going no matter what. And even if you start playing just like really, really small gigs, or maybe that's all you'll ever do, you're at least doing it in some facet. You're doing it. So that's the biggest tool, I would say, that somebody needs to be successful in the music industry. I don't know. I'm still figuring it out because I don't consider myself successful in the music industry yet, but I'm excited about where I'm going. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. That's good. I think practice makes perfect and everything. So, what and or who inspires your music?
Oh, what? Okay. Well, I think actually, you know what? I think a lot of the I think a lot of people would say this too, a lot of the bad things that I've gone through in life, not necessarily bad because everything's a lesson, so I can't really consider it a bad thing because you're supposed to learn from everything, but it's those kind of lower moments that fuel especially a lot of the songs that are on my upcoming debut EP, because it's a lot of messages and things that I wanted to talk about, and I wanted my listeners to know about, because I know a lot of people go through similar issues, and even if they're not going through similar issues, maybe they can relate with something in the lyrics. So I think that a very important part of what we're trying to do musically, especially with this first project, is really reach out to people, really touch people with this. I'm working on an anti-bullying collaborative music project right now called Remember, and it's me and a bunch of other artists. A couple of them are from The Voice, and a couple of them were Grammy nominated, and it's been really fun. They're all, again, more knowledgeable than I am.
That's so
And
cool.
it's coming out on October 7th, and I think that it's really going to help a lot of kids, because this is obviously still a big issue in this country and in the world. And that's kind of it. I want to sing for the underdog, basically, because I was the underdog. I still kind of feel like I am the underdog sometimes. I can relate to that. And so that's a big thing that inspires my music. Yeah, pretty much.
Cool. So, where would you like to see your music and your career in music in like 3 years?
3 years. I think that in 3 years, I will definitely have released this first EP because it's literally coming out next year. I definitely probably would have finished my first tour with this first project because we're planning it right now. And in probably 3 years, I see myself wrapping up the first album, like the first LP, and getting ready to go on another tour, and hopefully having a lot more people that know about me and what I'm doing, and a lot more friends. Like, I don't like to call them fans; they're friends because I talk to them personally a lot, and hopefully, you know, have been successful in reaching out to a lot more people.
Cool.
Okay, so what are some words of encouragement you could share with a young adult who's trying to get into music?
Words of encouragement. Again, definitely don't give up. I think that the biggest thing is to not concentrate so much on, oh my gosh, like I don't have the money to get into the studio, or I don't have the connections to get into a studio, or I have to have a record label look at me right now. I mean, a lot of these things, especially with the modern era and technology the way it is, it's not as important anymore. I mean, you see these young kids popping up all over YouTube, and all they're doing is cover music because they love it, and they're literally sitting in their living rooms like filming themselves singing and putting it on YouTube, and a lot of them are super talented, and they keep doing this. They keep putting out content, and people are watching it, and they're falling in love with them because it's personal and it's intimate, and I think that it's just a really cool thing, and I've kind of tried it a little bit here and there too, and it's fun. It's just a lot of fun. So if you are a young person and you do want to break into the music industry or try, I would definitely encourage you to start with this. You know, whatever it is, if it's the Let It Go from Frozen, or I don't know what you like to sing, but sing in your living room and film it and put it on YouTube, even if it's just for your friends and family, and see what they have to say. And you know, the biggest thing is content. Keep doing it as often as you can. If it's once a week, that's great. If it's once every 2 weeks, that's great. And just keep doing it until something, you know, good starts to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I totally agree with you. You know, people who start on YouTube have the opportunity and the platform to, like, share themselves with the world, you know, to, like, show people what you can do. And it's a free and easy way to do it, so why not take advantage of it? Instead of having someone say no to you all the time, why don't you post yourself up there and wait for someone to say yeah? But anyways, what is your favorite part about live performances?
To be honest, I actually haven't had a lot of live performances yet. I've had a couple in the past. They were they didn't have anything to do with what I'm currently doing. I did one live performance actually for a Vampire Diaries convention in Orlando a couple of years ago when we were promoting the Incubus film actually, and we did a couple of songs with I did a couple of songs with 2 other girls, and when one of us was singing leads, the other 2 of us were singing backup vocals, and it was just a lot of fun. And I think my favorite part about that is, you know, getting the crowd reaction, especially like afterward when people come up to you and they have things to say. Like the guy who played, I'm sorry, it was not a Vampire Diaries convention. It was a True Blood convention. Actually,
Stop, my favorite show.
It was a True Blood convention, and you'll die because the guy who played Lafayette came up to me after the show. Yeah, he came up to me after the show, and he gets really close to my face like this, and he goes, "Was that your voice? Were you really singing?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "That was really good," and he just walked away. I was like,
"Oh, that's so cool."
I feel legitimate right now because you just said that to me.
I would too. Oh my god, I love him.
Yeah, that is such a compliment.
It was such a nice compliment, and I was just like floored. I mean, he was really, really nice, and I just didn't expect it, and it was a lot of fun. So it's things like that. It's meeting interesting people. It's the adventure of going somewhere that you've never been before. Like I'm looking forward to touring because I'm looking forward to going to even like small towns and smaller cities because I just love traveling and I love the adventure. So it's going to be things like that. Very cool.
Yeah. What is something you would tell yourself when you were just starting out as a musician?
Let me think back to when. Well, I would probably tell myself the small things don't matter. The small things like I got a lot of criticism early on, which is fine. Criticism is totally fine. I welcome it. I anticipate it. That's all good. But especially like if it's meant to not be helpful, sometimes people give criticism with the intention of not being helpful and just to be trollish. So, you know, those things I would tell myself don't matter. And also I would tell myself to early on, because this was a mistake of mine, to figure out who you are as a musician when it comes to the genre, the message that you want to deliver, because for a long time I was bouncing back and forth. I wanted to sing pop, like I said, I wanted to do Broadway, I wanted to do this and that, and finally we settled on rock and roll, and that's really where I truly feel like I live, and I'm really comfortable here. And early on I didn't know that, and so I would definitely tell myself, at least in that area, to focus on what I want, what I'm trying to do, what my message is, and who I am as an artist, and really hone in on that early on, because that was a mistake.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't categorize it as a mistake. I mean, you learned from it, so.
A growing pain, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, are you working? I know you said that you're working on your EP right now, but are you working on anything else aside from that and the bullying tour that you have going on?
Right now, that's it. The bullying tour happens October 7th. That's only in a couple days, actually. I'm really excited because Quentin Aaron, who starred in The Blind Side, I forgot the football player's name, but he played the football player that was adopted by Sandra Bullock's character. He's kind of our like keynote speaker and like our, I guess, spokesperson, because he has the Quentin Aaron's foundation, his anti-bullying organization, I guess. So I'm really looking forward to meeting him because he just seems like a really cool person. And so Yeah, we're heavily working on that. That's a really big focus. And the EP was a really big focus. We finished production like 3 months ago, and now we're just finishing mixing now. So we're really just trying to get it right and get it out to people as soon as possible because we're excited.
Really cool. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm really excited. It's awesome. It's epic. I'm so excited.
So moving on, we're going to ask you a few questions about fashion. It's something we're big on here.
Awesome.
How do you define fashion?
I think fashion is definitely a sense of self-expression. I think it's an art form. I think it is a necessity. Whether people think so or not, fashion is present in our everyday lives because in the morning you wake up and you choose what to wear to school, you choose what to wear to work, you choose what you will wear on your outside to represent who you are on the inside. And if you're somebody who's not confident, particularly, and maybe you choose to throw on like a grungy sweatshirt that day, or like a lousy pair of sneakers, it's still fashion. It's still what you choose. It's still your art form because you're expressing how you feel on the inside to other people. You're letting them know what is going on, and I think that it's very important. And like I said, I change my fashion with the weather. I'm not always one thing when it comes to that, and it's fun. I would definitely categorize fashion as something that is fun. So whether people like it or not, fashion is present in your life. It doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
So what is your personal style, would you say?
Definitely, like I said, eclectic, but I definitely most of the time, like I'm wearing my leather jacket right now. I call this my Michael Jackson leather jacket. It's kind of like the Beat It style. I like my leather. I like my heels. I like my boots. Leggings. I don't generally tend to wear a lot of jeans, but I like my leggings of all different kinds of things going on. Like if they look kind of leathery, I think that's really cool. Or if they've got like some kind of, like I've got one pair of leggings that literally has silver detailing down the sides, like silver spikes.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, they're kind of scary looking, but they're pretty wicked. Like they're awesome. And then I've got a pair of, oh my God, I don't remember. Oh, it'll come to me. I don't remember who the designer is, but it's a pair of heels, and it's the whole front of like where the toes are. It's got the same like big silver spikes, and they're just wicked as hell. They're awesome. So, so I like to play with a lot of different things like that. Cyndi Lauper for me is like a huge fashion icon because I was born in 1990, but I kind of wish that I lived in the 80s because there's a lot of things going on that I really like.
I totally agree with you. I was born in 93, and I'm like, I was supposed to be an 80s kid.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's just fun to experiment with those kind of things, but for like a modern day like now. So, and then sometimes, like especially when it's autumn, for us in Florida, if it's 80 degrees instead of 90 degrees, it's time to break out the sweaters, it's time to break out the knee-high boots, girl. I mean, it's like so, and the scarves and things like that. So then I want to dress like I'm a mountain person. So like this.
How would you differentiate your everyday style from your performance style?
Yeah, they're definitely different. We were just actually going through wardrobe yesterday for the performance on the 7th because I am singing live on the 7th, and it's how do I explain it? It's definitely rock and roll. Like it's black leggings, but the sides have like leather detailing, and the jacket is really cool. It's done by a local designer from Delray Beach, and it's all hand beaded, and the sleeves have like embellishments of beading on it. So it's just it's rocker. I would say that my professional style is like 1980s rocker with a modern, elegant flair. I don't want to be that artist that shows up on stage in a thong. That's not me. And I think that we have way too much of that going on, and I really think that our youth, especially our young girls, need role models that are different from that. And I think that there's so much fashion out there, and there's so much material out there, really nice material sometimes, that I think that we could use it and actually wear something really kick-ass on stage. So that's kind of more my professional style. And my personal style, like if I'm just hanging out with you day to day, again, it's going to be leggings. It's going to be probably some kind of wedge heel or maybe even a flat boot if I'm feeling lazy. And you know, I like Custo Barcelona a lot. I think that they're a really, really great label, especially like their darker stuff because they've got embellishments of leather and they've got patches, and I like a lot of darker kind of neutral colors with some splashes of like darker purples or greens thrown in. So, ooh, there's a storm outside, so sorry. My lights flickered.
It was just storming here a few minutes ago.
So what, I mean, you kind of answered this, I guess, like 80s with a modern, like, elegance, I guess you said, but, like, what inspires your fashion style?
Definitely, like I said, Cyndi Lauper is a really big inspiration. Actually, no, I lied. Bigger than Cyndi Lauper for me is actually Stevie Nicks. Stevie Nicks is probably my biggest fashion icon. I think everything she did, mostly everything she did, aside from the top hat, I'll never do that top hat in my life, but everything else was really great, and like her fringe jackets and things like that, and I love the pairing of leather and lace. That's me in a nutshell, and she's girly, she's edgy, I like Joan Jett, all of these kind of like really powerhouse, badass female rock legends I look to. But like I said, with a modern flair, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really like how you made the point about the young girls needing to wear more. Like, there's so much stuff out there. So would you have any other fashion advice to teenagers?
Definitely. I think that no matter what your shape is or, you know, what your inhibitions are as far as what you think you look like or how people are going to take you, I think that there's always, always, always something flattering for everybody and complimentary for everybody. And definitely the magazines aren't always the best go-to place to look. Sometimes they're good for inspiration. Hell, I look at magazines all the time, but you know, sometimes they are not the most honest thing in the world. Definitely Photoshop is very present. And I think that as long as you express yourself and you are comfortable in your own skin and in your own clothes and you know, feel like you and confident, then I think that you are fashion savvy. It doesn't matter who you're wearing. I don't care about who you're wearing. I don't care necessarily about what you're wearing. I think the biggest fashion staple is your confidence and how you rock it, and just be smart about, you know, what flatters you personally. And that's my advice.
That's really good advice. I'm gonna take that to heart. What is your go-to fashion piece when you're in a hurry?
Definitely my leggings. I'll say it again. I'll keep going back to those things because they're flattering. I mean, like, I don't have the twiggy butt at all, so you know, my black leggings, I go to them because they make me feel confident and I can, you know, walk anywhere in those. And oh, Sam Edelman, that's who they are. Those
great designer.
Yeah, so I go to my leggings, and then I also have not only those spiky heels, but I have a pair of Sam Edelman wedges. They're ankle boots, but they're wedges, and the top folds down over the foot part, and they're very high platform wedges, and so it folds down over the foot part, and it's all done in different color studs. Like some are silver, some are brass, some are copper, and they're all different sizes. They are the coolest thing. They are like my prized friggin' possession. And so I will wear those anywhere with a pair of like black leggings and some kind of leather jacket. Those are my go-to pieces for sure.
That's awesome.
All right, sweet. So at IAM, we run an interactive anti-bullying campaign all year round to encourage teens to be the one who takes the ultimate stand to bullying. Hashtag be the one who, hashtag be the one who. What do you think about bullying and those who have to go through it?
I can definitely say that I think we've all been bullied. I think we've all bullied. I don't think anybody's perfect. I think that I definitely probably said some horrible things to some people in high school. I think that people, well, I know that people definitely said some horrible things to me in high school, some things I'll probably never forget. It's sad that we hold on to these things. And I think what I would say to people that, especially kids who are going through it is it doesn't last forever. People grow up. People mature. A lot of my friends, or people who weren't my friends before but who are my friends now, they did, and I know that I did. And I think that it's very, very important to not hold a grudge and to not hold these things and take them so, so seriously, because I think while we're all in high school or all in college or middle school or even elementary school, I think that we think that it is the most important moment in our lives. Right here and now is like the biggest deal ever, and it is the most important thing we will ever go through. And if our high school life is crap, then that means the rest of our life is going to be crap. And I want to tell you guys, if you're listening, that it's just not true at all. It gets better. Hang in there. People are mean sometimes. Sometimes they're not. Keep your faith in them, because they'll come around, they'll mature, and hey, if they don't, it's their problem, and you're going to find people who appreciate you for you, and you're going to find people who like you. So just hang in there. It gets better. Keep going, and don't take it so seriously, because it seriously doesn't matter. Just laugh it off.
Awesome. Such great advice. So what is your advice to someone who is trying to stand up to a peer or a friend who's being bullied?
I definitely think that people should speak their mind. It's difficult. I know that I've definitely been in situations where I was kind of the bystander, and maybe somebody in front of me was getting bullied, and maybe I was the person who laughed, definitely. And I think that I was in every situation, and I think that it's very important to have the bravery and to have the strength to stand up and say, listen, what you're doing is not kind, what you're doing is not right. However you want to say it. Obviously, you're not going to say it like that, because that sounds corny. but you're going to, I think that it's very important that we all find that inner voice, and we do that. I graduated high school, and I don't want to tell you how many years ago, because I feel like it was a long time ago. And back then it wasn't such a big issue. It wasn't so focused on like it is now. I feel like bullying is kind of now a hot topic. People are discovering that it's better to be kind. So before it wasn't so highlighted, but now it is. So now I feel like it's important to realize that and definitely find your inner voice. And it's okay that people are not going to like you sometimes. Not everybody is going to like you. So if you're afraid that if you say something and somebody's not going to like it, again, it doesn't matter. And if it means saving somebody else from having a really lousy day, I think that it's important.
Yeah, I always say that if everybody likes you, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
That just is not logical. So.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that actually it still probably is. I don't want to admit it, but it is kind of still important to me. I want to think that everybody likes me, but I know logically that it's not true, and I've definitely met people who very boisterously admitted that they didn't like me, and I've met people who admitted very boisterously that they did like me. So the most important thing is like what we are talking about right now, is just to remember that it's not logical, it's not important, and yes, if everybody likes you, you are doing something wrong. You need to stand up for who you are.
Yeah.
All right, so cool. We're going to play a game with you here. We like to play a game called Rapid Fire, and we just are going to ask you a few questions, and the first thing that comes to your mind, just say it. So okay. I'm going to start off with, what's your favorite TV show right now?
The Blacklist.
Oh, great show.
Choice.
Yeah, it's awesome.
What is your favorite thing to do? Aside from writing, music, acting,
currently?
What do you do?
Okay, currently I've found baking, and I think that that's dangerous, but I think my favorite thing to do right now is baking. When it's not baking and we have the means to do it, it's traveling, because like I said, I just like being a gypsy. I like adventures. I like going to weird places, even like very small towns. So traveling and baking.
No, I'm on the same wavelength as you. I have wanderlust. I want to go everywhere.
Yeah. Need it.
What's your all-time favorite movie?
Interview with a Vampire, for sure.
Ooh, that's a good one. I forgot about that movie.
I've never heard of that movie. I mean, I feel like I have. It sounds familiar, but I
Is
can't
that the
think of
one
what
with
it.
Tom Cruise?
Yeah, Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt. It is a sick classic.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a funny story. I was like 15 or 16 or something, and it was when like Twilight first kind of became something, or it wasn't totally popular yet, but it just kind of first came out or something. And so anyway, so I found Twilight, and when I was going to school, I went to an art school, so I had to take the train to school, and I would sit in like the train booth with all of my friends. And I had one friend in particular who was like really, really not obsessed with vampires, but she likes vampires a lot. So I told her, I'm like, Amy, I found this book that you would love. It's called Twilight, and it's awesome. And I was like gushing over this book. And so she read it, and she comes back to me a couple of days later, and she goes, Shayne, no. She goes, Twilight's good, but it's like applesauce, and you need a fine red wine. And this is like a 16-year-old girl saying this to me. She was very like worldly and knowledgeable. She goes, you need a fine red wine. She's like, you need to pick up Anne Rice. And I think that weekend we all had a sleepover, and she introduced me to The Interview with the Vampire, and it is a horror film. It is seductive. It is visually appealing. Like, it is just the coolest movie ever. So if you haven't heard of it, or if you haven't seen it, like, you need to watch it now. Especially in October.
It's so good. You're going to karaoke. What is your guilty pleasure song?
Don't Stop Believin'.
I love that song.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, are you a heels girl or a flats girl?
A heels girl, definitely. I think that women, I think that some women, I'm the kind of woman that has a certain amount of confidence when I wear heels. It just makes me feel good. It makes me feel better about myself. If I put on mascara and lipstick and I wore heels that day, I feel like I'm kind of ready to conquer the world, so definitely heels.
Yeah, I feel you. So would you rather go shopping and hang out and have a full day with Hayley Williams or Lights?
Hayley Williams. She's a total badass, and I just want to like touch her shoulder and see if her talent will rub off on me. And some of the vocals.
I'm obsessed with her. She's so cool.
She's
Hayley Williams. She's everything. I love Hayley Williams. I love Paramore. I've loved them for forever, it feels like.
I know, me too.
Yeah, they're really cool, and I think that they have a type of career that they'll have a longevity for a really long time, and they'll be popular, and they'll be around for a really long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so would you rather wear skirt or jeans?
That's a hard question. Because neither. You know what? Probably a skirt, because I can dress it up. I would wear like really cool like stockings or something.
Yeah. Leather or glitter?
They're both like what I'm made of. Like, when you cut me open, I literally bleed leather and glitter. I don't know how to answer this question. Leather with glitter on it.
Okay, I
Yeah,
accept.
that's a creative way to answer it. So, Bradley Cooper or Brad Pitt?
Brad Pitt.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee 100 times over. Many cups a day. Bad.
Guilty pleasure?
Guilty pleasure. Baking. Probably now is baking. And cartoons. I still like to watch cartoons sometimes.
I like that.
Yeah.
Honest answer.
Yeah.
Favorite musical icon?
Pat Benatar.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, not her fashion sense, because she's definitely, I can honestly say she's not one of my favorite fashion icons of all time, but her voice is legitimate, and musical icon, she's probably the top. So, Pat Benatar.
Yeah. Favorite quote?
Oh my gosh. It was probably my senior quote, but you know what? I totally forgot what it was. It was something about, like, it was some kind of love quote. Like, it was really cool and elaborate. Probably that one from Shakespeare, I'd like to battle you in a game of wits, but I see you are unarmed. It's something like this. I didn't say it exactly, but it's really, really funny, and it cuts deep. I think that's funny.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, going on to acting, because you like have done everything. What was your first experience acting?
My first acting experience, I was 5 years old, and my mom took me to, I don't really know how it even began, but I started auditioning for commercials in Miami. Miami was a big market for that, especially for kids. And so I auditioned for this commercial for the National Education Association. And it was one of my first auditions, and I booked it because I was like this spunky little redhead who could give zero, whats. And they thought that was just really adorable. So yeah, I was like 5 years old, and it was this thing for the National Education Association. And then I did one for like a bank, First National Bank or something. Now it's Wachovia. And then I did one for Heckingers, which is like Costco or yeah, it was like this.
That's so cool. I always wanted to do commercial acting when I was younger, but my mom never took me. So
it's fun. It's fun, especially when you're little and you're surrounded by all of these adults, and they're all like, "Oh my God, you're so cute," and you get to stay up way past your bedtime, and you don't have to go to school the next day. It's fun.
What's your favorite part about acting?
My favorite part about acting, I think, I really just love all aspects of storytelling, and I think that acting is just a lot of fun because you get to live in somebody else's skin for a while. That sounds creepy, but it's true. You get to live in somebody else's skin for a while. You get to live somebody else's life. You get to be somebody else, and sometimes you get to experience things that in this life you can't. Like, for instance, I was doing a lot of fantasy movies, so in your mind, because you're really living in that moment when you're doing it, you are experiencing the supernatural, you're experiencing the impossible, and in your world that you're in when you're acting, that's real, and I think that that's actually really fun, so it's probably my favorite part.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. So if you were casting a movie that you were obviously going to act in because you're an actress, who would be in your dream cast?
Oh.
Pick like 4 people.
4 people. Okay. Johnny Depp, because that's a given. I mean, who's not going to pick that? Oh my gosh, Natalie Portman, because I think she's
oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, she's just really classy, and she seems nice,
It's so pretty. It's like unreal.
Yeah, definitely. Helena Bonham Carter, because she's wickedly cool. Like,
I love Helena. She is so cool, and I love her style.
Yeah, her style is just really, again, she's also somebody like Haley Williams that I just want to be like, okay, I need your talent, so I'm just going to touch your head. Just like, she's just really cool. So her, and then another actor. I want to say Robin Williams. I do. I was like dreaming of like someday, like he would have been like, if we were gonna do the of Light and Darkness movie, like he would have been my perfect Mr. Chinoshka, that spider character. Yeah. Like I was dreaming of that, so it's just like it's hard and sad. But yeah, he'd be one.
So sad. Okay, well, on a lighter note, Josh.
Do you have other advice for people who want to start acting?
Yeah, definitely. I get asked this question a lot. A lot of people kind of reach out to me on Facebook who want to break in again to like commercial acting and other things like that. And the first thing that I would tell them is you need to start with a good headshot. It's really, really important. It sounds so like not important, but it really is. Good headshot will take you farther than you could ever imagine. Definitely work on building your resume. Audition for local theater, audition for independent films, do anything in the beginning. Not anything, because there are some shady things out there, but I mean, do even if they're smaller projects, do them, get the experience. It's fun, you'll meet people, it's an adventure, and you'll build your resume. And the final piece of advice I would give them is to go to class, study, go to some kind of, acting class, maybe even if that teacher particularly isn't going to help you, or maybe you don't feel like you're going to get anything from it. Again, it's just the experience of doing scene work with other people, doing monologue work and getting that feedback from the people who are taking the class with you and meeting people. It's just fun, and it just gets you into that atmosphere and it gets your head in the right place. So those 3 things I would say, do that.
That's really great advice, honestly. So at IM, we are huge advocates of the belief that smart is sexy. And this means that we value independence, intellect, and positivity over looks alone. So as a girl who's overcome so much, what are your thoughts on smart is sexy?
Smart is sexy. Smart is definitely sexy. I think that, like back before I was married, I think that being intelligent is probably one of the biggest things to look for, like, in another person, even if it's going to be your friend. If somebody's going to be your friend, this is going to sound kind of mean, but I really, 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 really don't like talking to people who are, it's frustrating when people are, what's the word? Just ignorant about things,
Yeah.
like, they don't necessarily have to be educated. I'm not like a snob like that. That's not really important, but I mean, you could be smart and not be formally educated. I believe that. You could just have God-given intelligence, but I think that you have to have some kind of level of intelligence to be sexy. So I think that that's really important.
Yeah.
Yeah. What quality do you find most sexy in a person?
Definitely confidence. Confidence speaks volumes to me. I think that, I've experienced people on all sides of the spectrum, people who weren't necessarily as confident, and then people who are way, way, way too confident for their own good. But I think that a classy amount of confidence, I think, is very sexy. If you carry it well, if you're comfortable in your own skin, but you're humble at the same time, I think that this is really, really important, and that attracts me. And eyes attract me too.
Yeah.
But that's fantasy. I don't want to say that.
So for a final question, is there a celebrity that you like that you feel represents smart is sexy in a really great positive way?
A celebrity right now? That's a very hard question. It's kind of sad that it's a hard question. I think that there are, but it's just not coming to mind. I think that, oh my God, there's somebody right now who's like being a, oh, yes, Emma Watson. I think Emma Watson is
That's
a really
great answer.
Yeah, she's a good representative of smart is sexy because she is a good role model. She's a role model definitely for me, and she's just a good teacher for young girls especially, and somebody to look up to. So I think that she is both smart and sexy, and she's my pick.
Awesome.
Well, thank you, Shayne, for spending some time with us. It was an absolute pleasure to meet you. I'm sure on top of all of your accomplishments, we'll be seeing more of you soon. But everyone, make sure you check out Shayne on Twitter at Shayne Leighton and all her other social media links. Also, be sure to follow us at IM and tweet us who else you like to see on 10. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye, guys.